believe, do people like them have to believe about my school such that they will want to choose my school and come and visit it and enroll in it? Secondly, what media do they read? Right? What are the best ways to reach them? Are there particular rabbis that they listen to? Right? Are there social networks that they belong to and gather in? And that way I can be very efficient in terms of crafting the right messages and getting the message out in the right way. I'll give you a perfect example of this. The school that I was working with on Long Island, they happened to want to have a lot of Israelis in the school, but they wanted to have a higher market share of Israelis. So we identified groups of Israelis, we did focus groups among those groups. We found out that they wanted great math, great science, they wanted obviously great Hebrew language. So we were able to, in our messaging to them, get the messages out and document the strengths of our schools in those areas. We were able to form Mommy and Me programs for Israelis, where one Israeli parent would invite her friends to come to those programs. And by doing that, we were able to increase market share of Israelis without spending almost any extra money. We did the same thing with Russian Jewish population segments. Again, they're very interested in math and science, Jewish culture, etc. We were able to reach out to them. And by doing this, we were able to basically say, in order to make our numbers, right, we need this many Russian families, we need this many Israeli families, and we were actually able to track how well we were doing relative to those goals. And we also did something else which is very profound and important. We developed databases of the names and contact information for those market segment members. And by doing that, starting when the children were age 2, in the case of an elementary school, and when they were aged 10 or 11 in the case of a high school, we were able to track relationships with those families from the earliest times before they actually made choices about what schools they wanted to send their kids to. So we could predictably say, you know, we're going to fill our school with this percentage of the market share of the Russian community, and this percentage of the market share of this synagogue, and this percentage of the market share of the Israeli community, and predictably manage that pipeline. My favorite story about a school that does this really well is in Boston. It happens to be a high school that has grown phenomenally. And what most impresses me about this school is they actually set market share targets for feeder schools, you know, that are sending students to them, and also for constituencies like public school students. And they actually use this kind of intense management. There are 50 of the students in the public school that we could attract. We need to get 20 of them, and they use that to hone their messages, the intensity of activity, and they measure how many visits have we achieved against that goal. And that way, they predictably manage their pipeline into their school. And they're not relying on newspaper ads or open houses, but they create leads that bring kids into school. And I just want to quote a pasuk, a passage from the Bible, which sort of epitomizes this concept for me. You know, it says in Breshit, in Genesis, about Abraham and Sarah, et hanefesh asher asu b'charan, that they actually sort of manufactured souls and adherents to Judaism in Haran. By following the methodology that we have just talked about, by identifying who's in your school and why, and what those segments of people are, and how many there are, and setting targets, and understanding what messages they have to believe about your school, and understanding how best to reach them, you can achieve et ha-nefesh asher asu b'charan. You can create inquiries for your school and create new students for your school in a very proactive way. And nothing will stop you from filling up your school. So I thank you for listening to this presentation on the proactive recruitment aspect of improving the affordability of your school.